Hello and welcome to Sunday Story Time with the Zanesville Museum of Art. My name is Tina Bailey, and today I'm going to read to you a story called William the Cat and the Rescue of Roslyn Chapel. The story is written by the Countess of Roslyn, and the artwork is illustrated by Rosie Wellesley. Once upon a time, there was a cat called William. He lived in the Scottish village of Roslyn with the Smith family, who made sure he always had a warm bed by the fire. But William was no ordinary cat. He had a very important job. Every morning after breakfast, he left the house and walked through the village to the place where he spent his days. You see, William was the guardian of Roslyn Chapel. His father, William, had been guardian before him, and his grandfather, William, before that. Sometimes he heard the guides talking about a long line of Williams looking after the chapel, which made him very proud. His main job was to take care of the mice. There were plenty of cozy corners where mice could make their nests, but William was having none of it. This chapel was no place for mice. William had another important job too. He kept an eye on everyone who lived in the chapel. Every morning he let himself in and went to say hello to his friends. He always started with Sir William St. Clair. Sir William was a very important man who built the chapel over 500 years ago. He looked a bit fierce with a crown on his head and a sword in his hand, but he always exchanged a wink with William the cat. After this, William went to say a special hello to the elephant. He wanted to make him feel welcome in the chapel because he must have come a long way from his home. There aren't many elephants living in Scotland, are there? In fact, William was rather puzzled how there also came to be a lion, a unicorn, and a camel living there. But he didn't like to ask, just in case it sounded unfriendly. Next, he made his way to the apprentice pillar, the most important pillar in the chapel. At the base of the pillar lived the chapel dragons, who were his special friends. They watched over the chapel at night and reported to William every morning. Today they told him to go and see the Green Man. William thought how clever it was that the Green Man had such a long neck sticking out from the wall to help him see everything that was going on. Today he was a bit concerned because he had spotted one of the angels crying in the night. The angels were hidden high up above the pillars, looking down on the chapel. Each one had a different musical instrument: a flute, a violin, a medieval pipe called a shawm, and even some Scottish bagpipes. They never played when anyone was listening, but sometimes in the dead of night, when it was very windy, the dragons heard them play their mysterious music. This morning, one of the angels was in tears. She was worried about a large, sad face high up in the corner who had been suffering from the cold for a very long time. During the night, it had been so cold and wet in the chapel that part of his nose had finally crumbled and fallen right off. It was true, rain was dripping through the roof and creeping in through the windows, making all the stone wet. Soon, Other carvings might catch cold and start to crumble away too. Then what would become of the beautiful chapel? William shivered. It really was cold. What had become of the heating pipes under the floor that he used to love, when there was actually warm air coming out of them? He looked at the poor face that had lost his nose, and then at all the other carvings. They looked cold and miserable too. William was the guardian of this chapel. He knew what he had to do. He leapt up onto the ledge and made his way carefully along underneath the windows, trying hard not to look down. Just as his paws were beginning to wobble, in came a crowd of people to look around the chapel. William took a deep breath and let out a loud meow. They all looked up. Look at poor William. He's stuck, they said. The guide ran to get a ladder, and two children stretched out a coat so that William could jump onto it. But William wanted them to see the poor sad face. He was the one who really needed help. Feeling very brave, he raised his paw and pointed. Look at that face up there, said a boy. He's lost his nose. William's job was done. He jumped down into the safety of the children's coat, where everyone made a very special fuss of him. The next day, people came to examine the chapel. They said that the roof and windows were leaking and rain was damaging the stone. If nothing was done, the elephant might lose his trunk. The angels might lose their instruments. Sir William might even lose his crown. So they all made plans for something called a conservation project. To do, number 1, mend the roof. Number 2, new windows. And number 3, more heating. Which William could see meant lots of people in bright yellow hats and jackets, coming with tools and ladders to fix the chapel. They built a big canopy over the chapel to protect it from the rain. They examined parts of the chapel that hadn't been seen for ages. They even discovered a beehive in one of the pinnacles, much to their surprise and William's amusement. They gave the chapel a new lead roof. They mended the leaky windows, and they made it all windproof and watertight, so that all the sad faces were warm and dry and happy again. Best of all, they put new heating pipes under the floor with warm air coming out of them. So I'm sure you can guess where William spends his days now. I think he deserves it, don't you? And that's it. And I wanted to let you guys know that this place is for real. This Rosslyn Chapel actually exists in Scotland. My daughter went to visit it one day a long time ago, and there's actually William the cat there too. So part of this is a true story. I love this story. I love Rosslyn Chapel. It's a beautiful, beautiful church, beautiful piece of architecture, and I hope you enjoyed my story. I love to read to you, and I can't wait to see you again. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.